Hi, everyone. How's it going? Maybe we should, since not everyone's come back in, they're obviously really craving coffee, we should just like make some sort of noise that's going to draw people in. Like maybe we should just kind of like do a wave or something. When you like start, do you guys ever know the wave? The concept of the wave? Concept of the wave? Is everyone feeling that energetic? I mean, it's like 4 o'clock, right? So, all right, start on this side, and then I'll like run this way. All right? You guys ready? I need you guys to back me up the most, because if you don't do it, then no one else is going to do it. So, all right. No, you gotta yell when you do it. One more time. You gotta yell when you're going to do it. Otherwise, no one knows we're doing it. All right, one more time. Woo! All right. I try. All right, so excuse me if I have sniffles or anything. I have hay fever. This is why I live in San Francisco, because I don't have allergies there. So I'm Tristan. This is my Twitter handle. Definitely say hi. My email's there too. So I'm happy to connect after this. I'll hang out in the lobby to talk about 500 startups, to talk about Storefront, talk about the maker movement. Definitely the creative class and empowering the creative class and the most creative people in our cities is something that gets me really excited. So without further ado, let's begin. So as you may know, just to confirm, this is me. I'm the right person up here. And so my startup is called Storefront. And so this brought me to Silicon Valley about 3 years ago. And it's basically a marketplace for short-term retail space. And we're helping artists, designers, brands be able to access space short-term. Short-term in the real estate industry is 1 day to 6 months. And generally, it's often called pop-up shops now. And so this trend has kind of taken off in a way that brands and even tech companies are going offline and saying, hey, there's a customer acquisition channel that's offline, and actually the unit economics might even be as good as some of our online channels, like SEM or email marketing. So just because this is a tech audience, this is a little bit about where we're at. So we're 2 years old. We raised a little under $9 million in funding, and we're based in San Francisco with a team of 20. We have a lot of remote team members in the Philippines as well as New York, so if you're interested in growth hacking, it's something I can talk a lot about after as well. But what's really exciting is that we've done something that we basically created a new market for short-term retail. And so 1,000 stores we opened last year through the platform. This is someone coming onto the site, booking a space, and setting up shop, and someone who probably wouldn't have done this before because it wasn't easy enough. And this is a little Michelangelo that I did when I was about 5 years old. We started this because we really care about this industry. We care about the people, our customers, because we are them. So my parents were artists. I grew up with a very creative family. My parents actually met at an illustration firm many years ago, and I've been always creating and pushed to create things, physical, art, since I was very young. And what was really great about that was that I grew up a little bit outside of, I grew up in Minnesota, middle of the US, touches Canada, and they took me to my first gallery opening and my first art fair. And so these short-term creative experiences got me really excited, and I kept wanting to come back into the city and see and experience more. But there's a problem. And this is it. And if you've been walking around Cluj and actually paying attention, the same problem is in every city in the world. There's a lot of gray space. There's a lot of space that we never said we wanted. There's gray walls, there's chain link fence, there's gray streets and sidewalks, and the biggest failure of all is there's a lot of gray stores. And 1 in 10 in the US is sitting empty. And that's on average across the entire US. And it was true 2 years ago when we started Storefront, and still true today. An average lease is about 5 to 10 years. So when you look at the real estate industry, everyone's looking for Apple for like a 10-year lease. And it just doesn't happen the same way it used to. So we're trying to create a way that opens that up and makes that space accessible under 5 years. So someone can actually try and test similar to online, like A/B test offline stores. And these are the people we're trying to help. So there's 28 million small businesses and entrepreneurs in the US. 1/6 of those work in the creative industry. And that's the artists, the designers, the brands, the agencies that we work with the most. Those are the people that we are, and the people that 80% of the time that we're helping. The other 20% of the time we're working with people like this guy, Kanye West, Target, Nike. This is a Kanye West store that he opened up in Manhattan, and during his, as he was doing his Yeezus tour, and he wanted to create a new, unique experience, not just have swag that you could buy, like a t-shirt at the venue. He wanted to go out and give something special to his fans. So brands like this and artists and designers like this are doing all sorts of experiences like that to be unique. And this will probably explain it best, is I'll play a short video about a brand called Indochino. They're a men's custom suit company. They've been doing pop-ups for the last 3 years, and this will show you exactly what the type of experiences are we're doing.
Indochino was one of the first brands to really make pop-up stores part of their company. It's a bit of a ballet.
We are a men's online customized suiting brand. So we are trying to revolutionize the way men shop online.
And we walk into it and we explain to that landlord, oh, in the next couple of days, this is going to look like a fully functioning operating store. And they kind of look at you in disbelief. They come back a couple of days later and all of a sudden it is a completely fully running operation.
Essentially create a store every month. Set up, take down, running an event. And it's something that we've just committed to doing because we think it's the best way to create a wicked retail experience for guys. We had a lot of customers who had been huge fans of ours online, but they wanted to interact with us more, they wanted some help with styling, they wanted to see and feel fabrics. At the Indochino Traveling Tailor, a guy can come in, we pair him up with a personal stylist who will build an outfit with him, both sizing and all the personalization. And then at the end of it, you swipe your card, you build an Indochino account, and 3 weeks later, you get your garment.
So if you didn't hear it, basically every month they open up a new store. They open it up in a few days, it lasts for about 2 to 3 weeks, they go to the next city. They have about 2 of these traveling tailor programs moving around the US and Canada, and so they're taking a new approach to retail. They're not actually having a flagship store at all. They're going to where their customers are buying online, and then they're bringing them this experience so they can actually have a tailor fit them. Instead of just guessing or doing their own measurements online, they can now have a professional do it. They can also see and try on the different suits and touch the different fabrics. And then they also host events every night, and that's everything from whiskey tasting to cigar rolling. So they know their audience, and they're creating a unique experience for them. So I've talked a little bit about Storefront, but let's talk a little bit about the overall maker movement and some of the trends we're seeing and what we saw when we wanted to create this. So there's 3 big trends that we see. There's 3 economies that are closely tied together. There's a personal selling revolution going on that's made it easier than ever to start a business. So I'll say that one more time. It's never been easier to start a business. That's tech, that's any industry. And third, retail being experience. You've probably heard me mention that a few times already. That's definitely foreshadowing. So, the sharing economy. Everyone's pretty aware of collaborative consumption, what's happening there. This is Anastasia. She opened up a store in Chicago. And really, what we're seeing is this distribution of the workforce. People can now work for themselves. Maybe I'm driving Uber or using, renting my car out and get around or using Airbnb. But what I think is really powerful about Storefront is we're sitting in this part of the sharing economy that's B2B. And we're helping people actually who, maybe are a solo entrepreneur, they really want to make their art take off or start their fashion brand, and they're doing more of what they love. They're not making extra money driving Uber so that they can go back and do their other thing that they want to do. We're actually helping them fulfill that cycle. this is a nice chart I always like to include, but basically, Craigslist and the world is turning into this, it's basically reflecting that distribution of workforce. And now marketplaces are taking over, and they're bringing trust and efficiency across the board to all these different industries. So we're definitely not unique. And I think that what's really exciting about that, it's all about empowering people, allowing people to work for themselves, allowing people to do what they care most about. So another part of this is a couple young entrepreneurs in San Francisco at a street fair. And what they're doing is basically being able to sell in their own local community. So it's really powerful for them to now have a connection to the people around them. I like to use the example of a doctor, and let's say you have an emergency situation in your apartment, and you have to drive 20 minutes to go to the hospital. What if you had a doctor that lived right above you, you didn't even know it, and he could have potentially saved your life? So in the same sense, we're trying to create that for the creative industry, where maybe that artist lives in your building, and you need a painting to put up, but you're going online, and we were kind of getting back to this small town feel. In the US, we used to have doctors do home visits, and people used to leave their doors unlocked. I think that's going to come back around, and we're going to make it actually, technology is going to make it easier to have those connections with the people around us. Again, kind of the workforce being distributed. And then the on-demand economy, I guess, again, like Uber, everyone knows all about this. But I think what's most powerful about it is that now, not the fact that, in San Francisco, we have an on-demand service for everything, so we would never have to leave our apartment if we didn't want to. But the fact that now it's about going to our customers. It's going to them. So in Storefront's case, we can bring someone not just to a city, but not just to a neighborhood, but to the exact street where they want to reach their customers. And so it's going to people, making it easier for them, bringing them those experiences, bringing them what they need. So those are the three economies. Now on to why it's so easy to start a business. So the personal solving revolution basically is saying, in the maker space, now you have Etsy, you have Shopify, you have Ticktail, you have all these e-commerce platforms. You can set up a store in just seconds. Then you have promotion tools like YouTube, Twitter, and you also have things like Square to help you sell better offline, or Indeniro to do your taxes and accounting. So you really can focus on your craft and what you do best, and you don't have to focus on all the other things. So that's why it's never been easier. And the last bit of this is retail, or spaces, like creative spaces, being about the experience. You can buy anything you want online and go to Amazon or Alibaba. It doesn't matter. But the reason we're social beings and humans desire to go into spaces that are interesting and inspiring, it's something that will never leave. So even though 95% of commerce is still done offline in the US, and about 85% in the UK, we're always going to see this kind of multi-channel combination of the two. Because there are some things that you need to experience, or you need to try on. Or maybe you want to meet the actual maker. So that brings me to my very final point here, which is something that we can all be a part of. Create spaces that matter. Whether you're walking to work and you see this wall that's all graffitied up, and you're like, that's so ugly. Well, you could create a mural on it. Maybe we'll do one next year. Maybe you see this empty storefront, and you're like, this is the busiest street in Cluj. I could open up a shop, demo my app, show people what I'm doing, and boom, there you go. You're being a part of the solution. And that's what the tech community is all about, being a part of the solution. And really taking back that urban dialogue that we lost from us at one point in time. So thank you so much for everything. It's exciting to be here. I've been spending a lot of time walking the streets and getting inspired. So go create awesome spaces. And say hello.
Thank you very much, Tristan. No, we'll not let you get off stage. You have like a few minutes left to take questions. So there we have directly one up front here. Just wait a second, the microphone is right there.
Did you ever think about foreclosed buildings? Because there are a lot of buildings which takes years to being sold, so you can use those spaces as well for short-term rentals.
You're saying corporate buildings?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So the types of spaces that Storefront works with is everything from vacant space to established retail stores and galleries to even if it's an urban center and there's a street fair, we'll work with those. So in that sense, a lot of corporations, we've done stuff inside Twitter, we've done stuff inside Facebook. So yeah, that's a great avenue, right? Especially if it's a big company. The big key for everything for us is foot traffic. You need to have people walking by or walking in. If you don't have that, it's going to be a failure because that's the whole point. You need some sort of level of customer acquisition or sales or brand awareness. So without people, it's nothing. So yeah, that works really well. Actually, Square too. And some of these corporates have actually started to build pop-up space into their lobbies. So there's new experiences every day. So it's almost like a sell. It's like building the culture for these companies and showing that they have a connection to the local community.
What about trucks which are moving toward the city? So in a sense, having mobile stores in the back of the truck.
Yeah, so we have a really great story. One of our early users, she basically was a part of a collaborative pop-up. So sometimes people will go together with other companies to bring the cost down even more. So there was about 6 different brands inside this one space. One person led it and rented it. And someone in there, she basically she's like, I always wanted to start a store. And so she rented one of the stalls in this space. And she was the most successful. She had like some crazy for retail numbers, it was crazy, like 10x the amount of sales that she paid for the space. And that was able to show that she proved it out. She tested the concept, and so she was able to say, okay, if I open up my own store, I'll be able to actually afford it. And so actually how she got into this in the very beginning was she did a mobile truck. So that was like the lowest. She was able to get a loan, wrap it, and just bring this to all the street fairs that happen around San Francisco and Oakland. Okay. So it's all about basically that test, smoke tests, we'll call them in tech.
We have one more question over here.
There are a lot of pop-up startups coming, pop-up management startups out there. Well, maybe not quite a lot, but what do you guys do different, and who are your competitors? I mean, who are you competing with as a startup, and what makes you so special? And
because we care. So there's a lot of localized pop-up initiatives. A lot of them are nonprofits, people trying to fill vacant space, but oftentimes they're trying to fill vacant space in places that need it the most. Now, that's the greater vision, is once we get scale, we can help all sorts of spaces, and we probably can drive foot traffic to areas that are maybe disadvantaged, that otherwise no one could succeed there. Right now, we're very focused on bringing people to the best shopping streets in the world, in the best cities. But like I said, as we get scale, we can do things like how Airbnb opened up and cut fees for after the hurricane in New York. So things like that. I think there's definitely, I believe strongly in having social impact as every sort of business.
Do you think it would replace the standard one-stop shop? Well, not the one-stop shop, but as in shops that are there.
10 more seconds to answer that.
Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, well, do you think it can replace the stores that are permanent nowadays?
I think that it'll always be a mix, right? I don't think anything will ever be black and white. We call it omni-channel or multi-channel retail for everyone who loves buzzwords. But basically, that just means you go to where your customers are. They're going to be online, they're going to be offline. It might make sense. Warby Parker does flagship stores, but they test it with pop-ups. So everyone has a different strategy that they start to find that works.
Thank you very much for making our cities better.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.